Okay, we got 10 o'clock on the clock. I ask all my board members to take their seats, please. Wow. Something's very different this month about this crowd. It is much smaller than I have been looking at. If I could get you all to stand and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll start today as we always do. I'm Matt Cambick. I am the president of the corporation.
Dan Lediger, Vice President.
Mark Eckert, Treasurer.
Denise Lexell, Director.
Chuck Hill, Director.
Walter Yazzie, General Manager.
Charlie Shawless, Recording Secretary.
I'm sorry, Sean, I'm not quite sure I heard your name. Are you kidding?
Matt, who are you talking to?
Yes, I was kidding. Yeah, Larry is not with us today. He is still on vacation. And so we have 6 of us here, and we have a quorum in place to do the business of our corporation. The first thing we need to do is approve the minutes of our 28 August board meeting. I need a motion to approve these minutes.
So moved. Second.
And I have a motion and I have a second to approve the minutes from our 28 August board meeting. Do I have any questions or comments from the board members? Questions or comments from our members? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the August 28th minutes, please acknowledge by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous, Charlie. Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is the strategic plan update. Next slide, please. Walter and I will be delivering our brief update today. Our mission statement. And we just left, the board members just left the committee chairman's meeting. And everything we talk about in that meeting deals directly with delivering on that mission statement in providing a broad variety of amenities and activities with well-maintained facilities and quality services. And you can be very proud of all of the committees that are working hard to serve the interest of the community because they're doing a terrific job. Next slide. This is our vision statement. The mission statement told you why we existed. The vision statement tells you what we want to be, what we aspire to be. Next slide. These are our values: respect, accountability, integrity, service, and excellence. And you've heard me talk about these many times, and you've seen me write about these. Next slide. I'm going to speak to you today about the second of the board goals for 2024, which is master plan facilities. Next slide, please. And this is the definition of our goal and the objectives that we have for this goal. Next slide. We have five objectives that we have worked on throughout this year. The first one was to analyze what's important to the membership through survey data. We started with the 2023 McMahon survey. We've received member input, resident comment throughout the 5-month process of producing the facility master plan, and of course the homework that was done by the facility master plan committee members themselves. The second objective was the actual creation of the Facility Master Plan Task Force. That has been completed, and their work is complete. And that task force will be presenting the outcomes from that effort to the board on the 22nd of October. Item 3, develop a campus master plan with direction and facilitation from a professional. The McMahon Group has been our professional. They've been partners with us over the last 5 months in developing what we'll receive on the 22nd. Develop a campus tour program for residents to see behind the curtain. That was a task delegated to Walter. What Walter and his staff did do was do a behind the curtains tour program with the members of the facility task force. And all of those members got to take a look at our facilities and got a basically through the eyes of our staff where some of our deficiencies exist. But as far as having a resident tour program, that's something for us to get to yet. And the last one is maintain our current facilities at the highest quality while immediate improvements are evaluated and implemented. It's going to be a wonderful kabuki dance to integrate what we do on an annual basis from the reserve side and marry that up to a long-range plan on facility improvements that will be available to us. That opportunity to build that plan will be available to us because of the work of the Facility Master Plan Task Force. In the last couple of months in our efforts to pursue a chief operating officer, I have been in all of our facilities, and on many occasions I've remarked to Walter how impressed I am with how well maintained our facilities really, truly are. Cleanliness, the operational capabilities, you don't find burned out light bulbs, all that kind of stuff. So I tip my cap to our operations team. I will be followed by Walter, who's going to talk to you about commitment to our team.
Thank you, Matt. So I'm going to update you on goal number 4, which is the commitment to our team, which really focuses on the staff and all the work that happens behind the scenes. And as you know, go ahead and go to the next slide, Rick. All right, so I'll let you read this definition. As you all know, being 20 miles or so north of Tucson doesn't make it easy for us to attract people to work here. And they pass many other places and opportunities to work before they get up here. So we have to make it attractive. We have to make a good environment here for our staff to work in. And that's the end goal there, though, is not just to get the staff to work here. We need to get good staff. And the end goal is to deliver you as residents a good product, a good community, just like Matt had mentioned, Ray Kuhn in the past, and now Bill, maintaining these buildings that are, reaching 25, 30 years old. So definitely see when we get good folks how that works. So, okay, next slide. Let me go over some of the objectives here just real quick. Treat staff with respect and appreciation. We've worked on that for quite a while. I think we always are working on that, building a culture that's receptive to all of the staff, and then we also have a handbook that defines some of this. So that's number 1. Objective number 2, training for the staff. Each year we have training in the budget. You'll see the 2025 budget also has training, some specifically in areas and a large amount in the G&A area, which covers some of the bigger training that we provide the staff. Number 3, performance incentives recognition program. So we have different programs set where the directors can give just like on-the-spot recognition, or there can be other things where they can go into the HR office and we have a little wheel you can spin and, it's a day off or a movie ticket or some other things that are, just good incentives for things that we catch people doing right, and it's up to the directors to use this tool to motivate their staff. So there's different incentives and performance recognition in place for the staff. Insured wages benefits are reviewed annually. We do this. Our HR office goes out and does a survey each year. One of the best sources of data we have is we go to the other HOAs that are similar to us, and their HR office provides, we get together, our HR office shares how much each position is getting paid, each of the major positions. That way we can check to see if we're in line or, where we're at in the local community on how much we're paying the staff. So it's not just a shot in the dark. We actually measure ourselves against other HOAs of similar function. Number 5 there, employee incentives. Again, the HR, one of the big things HR does is every couple of years we put out a survey to the actual staff and see what their feedback is to us on how they feel, what they think is important, and then we review that. And so we're going to do one of those here this year pretty soon. And so that should be done pretty quick. And so Darren, your new COO, could take that data and see what he wants to do and see what the staff is, what the staff perspective is. So that'll be a good tool for Darren in the future here. Next slide, please. Objective number 6. So ensure training programs are updated quarterly. So we have training programs right now. We really only look at them about every year and review them. So this is something that I haven't pushed yet to get these things done quarterly. But we do have them, and we look at them basically about annually. Or when new people come in, right, Bill? So he's like, yeah. Number 7, outside resources as needed. We continually look outside to get help, whether it's in HR management, whether it's in training. There's all these different avenues that we can take. We also ask the directors who are, expert in their fields to tell us if there's different training programs that they need to go to. So we're continuing to look outside and see, where we can get the best training. Promote career development. This one's a little bit harder because we only have so many positions, and only when someone vacates that position do we have it open to fill. So we can't promise someone, that you're going to be the next whatever until someone leaves. But we do have that in mind, and we do try, if possible, to move people up internally. But that doesn't always, it's not very predictive to do that. Promote a healthy work culture, that number 9. Again, this is always ongoing. This is something we have monthly meetings with the directors. We talk about leadership topics every month and ways for them to address, creating a healthy work environment and their management styles. And finally, number 10, develop a facility plan that supports the team. A lot of this really goes back to, things that we're struggling with, where, a proper facility for CAM, upgraded facilities for golf. And really, the staff doesn't have a lot of room. I think only the staff that work there's not very many break areas where people can take a rest and take their lunch. And some of the areas that we do have aren't very comfortable for taking lunch. So I think that's always an issue in a development like this, facilities that support the staff. So again, if you look at the master plan, there's some big ideas out there that they present in the master plan, which would solve that. And Matt, that wraps up my update for goal number 4.
Thanks, Walter. So let me, every month we do this. You all know we have a strategic plan we produced last year that guided our efforts this year. More important was the board manual that was created that connected the goals and objectives of the board directly to Walter and his staff, to Troon and their staff, and to each of our advisory committees. And what I want you to know is that the board is going to be busy reviewing and updating the strategic plan. And this morning I asked all the committee chairmen, as well as Walter and his staff, and Dan to lead the effort with the Troon team, was to begin looking at the goals that the board is going to present to all of those entities through the board manual for 2025. So the strategic plan work that we did last year has been utilized throughout the year by Walter and his staff. It's been utilized by the Troon team and by all of our advisory committees. And I have to report to you that it's producing excellent results. And so I'm grateful to all the committee chairmen. I'm grateful to Walter and his team, but more importantly, Walter's leadership, and Dan, and for the role he's played in interfacing with Troon. And it's been quite a year of change for us with the Troon team. But we will continue to work this, and it will continue to guide our efforts to support our mission and vision statement in serving you, our members. Walter, it's time for your general manager's report, sir.
Okay, thank you again, Matt. All right, I just got a short update for general manager. Of course, behind the scenes work, the staff has worked very hard to develop a projection for the 2025 budget. They've also worked hard to get a 5-year plan together, and that also leads into a 10-year projection. So a lot of that groundwork has been accomplished over the past month, and the staff has done a great job at trying to put that together and, estimate what's going to happen in the future with their crystal balls. The other thing kind of on the table right now is we do have a reforecast for this year, so to finish out the year. So it does show that we're going to be short around $300,000, just over $300,000. But each year I work with the staff. We continue to work at controlling cost. And so you can be assured that we're going to continue to go after that and to address that as we go throughout the rest of the year. One of those things that we're working on here is one of the big, I guess you can call it low-hanging fruit, of course, was our efforts in level 4 in the common area maintenance. We continue to focus on level 4. In fact, I think we're going to stop doing the Wednesday work orders and try to knock out level 4 as quick as possible, because many of these work orders actually fall in the level 4 area. And the quicker we can get that done, actually we save money, because the quicker we can get that done, the quicker I surged with a contractor, so the quicker I can get the contractor out of here, the better off I'm going to be at working and reducing that $300,000 shortfall we have. A couple of things I want to just point out real quick. Again, I like to point you to the website if you want to get the latest information, but just a heads up for you on a couple of things you might want to put on your calendar. October 1st, the reservations for the Thanksgiving at the Mountain View Bar and Grill and Preserve, those reservations are opened up on October 1st. So be aware of that. Also on October 1st, the reservations for the New Year's Eve party can be scheduled, so mark your calendar there. Another thing that's going on is this Thursday, which is tomorrow, there's going to be a free concert out on the grass at the Mountain View Bar and Grill, but be sure to bring your own chair, because we're not providing chairs, so bring your own chair to that. And the I Don't Want It sale is happening on October 12th, so make sure you can get your spot if you're interested in the I Don't Want It sale. And other than that, those highlights, you're going to hear the good things that are going on from Terry, and you're going to hear some good things from Bill. So I won't go over those items. And then Mike, I'm assuming you're going to update him on the Folds of Honor, how well you did there. So that completes my update, Matt.
Thanks, Walter. I want to take a minute. Walter mentioned the reforecast. Last month, I reported out to you that the reforecast showed a $500,000 shortfall for the year. Following that meeting, Walter advised me that Terry uncovered some more expense, and the number had grown to $600,000. Walter and Terry and I met last week, and to have a conversation about how in the heck are we going to squeeze and reduce that down. Within 30 minutes of that meeting, Terry had done a renewed analysis on the reforecast funding shortfall in operations. And I think the number was $371,000. And Terry reported that revenues were higher than were in the reforecast and expenses were lower. And so, all great news. The closer we can drive that to zero, the happier all of us sitting up here are going to be. A big piece of this is savings that we know we're going to realize through the Common Area Maintenance Program. I could talk a lot of things about Common Area, but this is what I'm going to tell you. The commitment you have from the board is we will get the level 4 maintenance mission accomplished between now and year end. Today, I asked Walter to stop Workday Wednesday. 98% of those Workday requests are in level 4. We're going to mass and concentrate our effort and keep our maintenance team working on getting level 4 so we can get every resident's property properly addressed this year. And so Walter and I are going to find out a way to send that message out to the community so it stands alone. But what I want all of you at home to know, as well as those of you sitting here, is that Walter and the staff are working aggressively to find ways to reduce that operating fund shortfall. And I've got to point this out. This is the same staff that produced a $500,000 surplus last year. And the financial challenges that we're facing this year have nothing to do with the staff. They have to do with underperforming golf revenue numbers associated with the Mountain View Golf Course that we didn't get open for 18-hole play until the second week of June. And so I don't need anybody thinking that the staff's not doing their job properly. That just wouldn't be true. And they are working hard to close this gap on the golf revenue. For that, for Walter, Terry, and for all the staff, we are grateful, and thank you. Bill, it's your turn to come run to the mic.
Take this off, I hate leaning over. Good morning, Bill McGinn, Director of Operations and Facility Maintenance. Closer of pools, spender of money, but still all around great guy. Where are we at? Okay. So I wake up every morning, I come in, and I've got 3 goals in mind for this community. Strategic goals that we have set forth. Goal 3, which is financial stewardship. Goal 6, effective communication. And goal 8, with exceptional member experience. And over the last 5 months, I hope that I've been able to provide a lot of that. Going forward, I'm going to continue to use to attain those 3 goals. Next slide, please. Beautiful pictures, right? We've got Mountain View pool closure due to the deck, but the process is moving along swimmingly. You're welcome. Every day they show up. Pima was a great contractor. They call the night before, say they're going to be here. They're taking care of things. The deck is looking great. I got a feeling that they're going to finish on time, if not before, but I don't want to promise anything, and knock on fake wood. We'll make sure everything goes well. The solar project that's still going on, they should be finishing up this week, but we'll see. We've got a few issues with our irrigation that they tore up, so it might be a little bit longer delayed, but I promise it'll be done before we open the pool and get everything done. So, next slide, please. So we've got more projects than just the deck that are going on at the pool. If you take a look at it, this pool has been operational for a few years. We've got issues with the shower stall. We've got issues with corrosion in our pump house, and these are things that we're trying to take care of. And along with that, what we're doing is we're going to rebuild the shower wall so that it's functional, clean, new, comfortable, able to use. We're going to be doing a project that replaces our electrical panel that needs to get done. Otherwise, I might be shutting down again in December, and I don't think you want that. And as a matter of fact, I know you don't. I get the emails. So we're going to be building another storage area just outside of the pump house. This will house our chemicals and hopefully eradicate a lot of the erosion or corrosion that's going on inside the pump house. You're going to see a few upgrades. We're doing combination with work with CAM. We're getting some new plants put in. We're trimming up trees. We're cleaning up the lighting, getting things. I'm hoping that I can achieve goal 8 with you folks by the time we open by giving you a member experience of a resort-style pool area. And I hope that you guys notice all the changes that we made. But I think it's going to be a great opening when we do get open. And I hope you like all those changes at the pool. Now, I do more than just pool work around here. We do have a few more projects. As you can see, I've got the air dividers in the ballroom. They were getting off track and they hadn't been adjusted for 2 years. So we got in there, got them all adjusted, straightened out, and fixed. The cornhole project is moving along. We'll see how that goes. I've got the court all lined out. We're got arrangements to get the boards put in hopefully mid-October. And we're also working on other little projects such as fixing a lot of the cracks and lifts in the sidewalks. The budget's kind of out for that right now, but we are going around and marking things that are a little bit more of a hazard than they need to be, and I hope you folks are aware of all that going on. I want to reiterate that if you have any concerns with the facilities, the commitment to that, please use the website, go online, express your concerns. I promise you, I will email you, I will call you, I will probably personally go out and take a look at it. I know there's quite a few people out here that I've actually talked to, actually looked at their problems, and got them taken care of right away. I can usually do it a lot faster if you go through the website than if you trickle down through the board, through my boss, through Walter, through all these. It just takes a lot longer and a lot more headache, a lot more fires for me to put out. So next slide, please. A little look to the future, and I was probably warned not to do this, to give this up to you folks, but I've got a few projects in mind to help us save money, which is one of the goals that I promised to do here, which is financial stewardship. This month, or this year, we were supposed to change out the sand and the filters at the pools. Speaking to a couple of companies, we found that using glass beads was more efficient in the cleaning and actually in the long run saved us money almost immediately. Cost savings were equal, the same going from sand to glass. Would have cost us $18,000 to change all the filters out, replace the sand. If we do the sand, it's every 3 years. Doing the glass beads, it's 10 to 12 years. So I see immediate return on investment with that. Let's see, where else am I? Bulk order for our chemicals. Every year I've noticed, I've gone back, seeing how I've been doing the budget for the last 5 years. Seems chemical cost seems to keep going up and up and up, usually by about $10,000 to $12,000 a year. So I started talking to a couple of companies in our deliveries, and they were mentioning bulk order of our chlorine and things. So I'm hoping to institute a bulk order system that brings us in a little bit less. It'll probably save us roughly around $32,000 to $5,000 a month in chemicals. So I see it as a no-brainer, although the initial project will be the cost of the containers and where I got to store them. So I'm working on that, more to come, I hope. Talked to a company called Clear Comfort System. It's a system that changes the way we remove oils and sediment in our chemicals. Less pricey than rebuilding the whole new system, but just as effective as if we went basically to CO2 from what I'm understanding. I'm waiting on the return of investment on that, and I'll give you more information as we go forward, but I see it as a combination of the new glass beads, bulk order, put this system in, and hopefully we'll see a huge return on investment in the next, I would say, year and a half from what I'm reading. Also, we were looking at getting better CAT systems. These CAT systems measure the chemicals that go into our pools. And we can do it all electronic, we can all do it Wi-Fi. We don't have to be there physically. So in other words, if something goes wrong with the pool at 11 o'clock at night, we'll get alerted, be able to fix the problem immediately through our Wi-Fi system to get the proper amount of chemical. With all this stuff thrown in there, you're looking at less cloudy pools, less cloudy spas, things of that nature. I'm just really trying to figure out a way. The first thing that was hammered into me was get the cost of the chemicals down when I first got here. So I'm hoping with these things, after I do a little bit more research, we're able to come to an agreement and get these things taken care of, if not this year, probably next year. And then something that everybody will like, this is a free app that we have that'll help us determine exactly how much chemical we need to manually put into the pools and spas, because that's something that, it just has to happen throughout the year. Other than that, I think we're caught up. Any questions from the board? All right, thank you.
Great report, Bill. Before you run off, financial stewardship, effective communication, exceptional member experience. Been out looking over your shoulder, and I can report that you get a T in your job book in all three of those areas. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Bill, just for a quick second, and I wanted to be reminded, and you can remind all of us, what is the anticipated opening day for Mountain View Pool?
November 1st.
Okay, so you're still on track?
Oh, definitely.
Everything's looking good? All right. Thank you very much
Yep.
for all that work.
No problem. My pleasure.
Terry? Our Director of Finance, Terry Dempsey, is going to give us our August financial update.
Thanks, Pat. So we'll see how well Bill is telling the truth or not. So yeah, we're going to go through the August financial update, and first thing up is cash. If you can go to the next slide, there we go. Okay, so our operating cash at August was $5,441,000. Sorry. Reserve cash is $6,432,000. CIF cash has $1.6 million for a combined cash total of $13,500,000, and that's a change from July. It's up $575,000. Next slide, please. So our summary income statement for August. August, there's a subsidy of $93,000. In August 23, we had a subsidy of $37,000. So we're off by about 150% there. Revenue was slightly better in August of 2024 compared to August of 23 by 1.3%. Combined net amenities in August had a subsidy of $200,000, and they were about 3.1% worse than what we did in August of 23. Operating expenses, which includes G&A, facilities, common area, and patrol, were about 11% worse than August of 23. So August a little bit rough. All right, next slide is food and beverage. Food and beverage combined had a subsidy in August of $90,000, which was 14% worse than what it was in August of 23. On the bright side, revenue at Mountain View was 29% better than August of 23, but the preserve was down 6% from August of last year. And combined restaurants expenses were running 15% worse than August of 23. Current projection for combined restaurants is a subsidy at year end of $526,000, which is a little bit worse than what we reforecasted and a little bit worse than budget. So, all right, next slide. Okay, so F&B revenue continues to increase. We're projecting it to if they have as good a second half of the year, which is basically September through December, as good as they had from January through April, beginning of May. I think they'll do pretty well. So we're just coming out of the slow season. So F&B revenue continues its increased trajectory. Mountain View's projected revenue is $2.4 million, and Preserve's projected about $1.3 million. So you can see that increasing. The next slide, please, is our cost of goods. Our cost of goods for Mountain View has gone up a bit, 36.1%, and Preserve is staying pretty constant at 49.9%. And I know I've talked to the chef up there, and they're working to get that down. They just, for some reason, that just seems to be a high number. So they're still working at it to try to bring it down. They're working on any cost savings they can find, and they are aware of it. So next slide is golf. So our combined golf had a subsidy of $78,000, which is much better than, it was 23% better than August of 2023. And our combined golf revenue is 12% better than August of 23, with Mountain View being 129% better from August of 23, and Preserve is about 31% worse than August of 23. Combined golf expenses were 0.5% worse than August 23, so they're controlling their costs nicely. Current projection for combined golf is a subsidy of $1.15 million. We attribute, as Matt mentioned, $600,000 of that to the lost revenue from Mountain View not opening in a timely manner. So, next slide. Just to finish it up, the dues allocation year to date for August is $2,333 per rooftop. And clockwise on the pie chart here, how's it allocated? Restaurants were $86, reserves $696, which is a good portion. Patrol $65, common area $285, bills area facilities $371. G&A, which includes the front office staff, IT, marketing, accounting, HR, et cetera, is $550. Fitness, $16. Theater lifestyles were $9, and golf is $255. And that wraps up my presentation. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Terry. Any questions from the board? Yep. Chuck has a question, Terry.
Terry, do you know off the top of your head what the lowest cash balance for the year is?
Now, off the top of my head, I don't know that.
Could you send that to the board of
Yeah.
which months are the lowest and approximately how much they are?
Yeah, I would think May and November.
Right.
Well, I'll send that over, yeah.
I'm just curious how much lower they are, because we're looking at $13.5 million, and I understand that has a lot of assessments in there, but
Yeah.
if you could tell us what November and you said May?
May. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem.
I don't have a question, Terry, thank you very much, but I did want to make a comment. And I've been reminded of this by other board members as well. The Mountain View closure obviously was an issue. There's no question it's having a major impact on the budget and forecast for 2024. That closure ended in June. It should have ended the latter part of 2023, and it did not. I just want to remind folks, and because it's showing up in the budget significantly, that there was in that contract with our contractor, Desert Reflections, a $210,000 liability clause, liquidated damages clause, that was enforced. It's something that Desert Reflection had never had enforced before on any contract that they had undertaken. Good news, bad news. We had that clause in there and we did enforce it. That liquidated damages really is all about revenue. That's why it was in there. It's all about if you're not going to be done on time, how much revenue am I going to lose? Obviously, we didn't make up all of the revenue with that. That money is in the reserves. So it's a complicated issue with the accounting group and such to be able to note that. But I just want to remind people that some of that shortfall had been made up with that $210,000 liquidated damages clause that was in that contract, which we enacted. So I'm not saying it's perfect, and I'm not saying everything goes away by any stretch, but it is something to note that we don't see in the financials because it's not reported through the operations, it's reported through the reserve side. So I just made that comment. For what it's worth, I feel better, you still feel bad, so I just wanted to say it.
I know two people that feel better today, Dan, and they're both smiling at me, so well done. I would like to invite to the stage Ray Adams. He is the committee chair for Rules and Regulations, and because there's no end to the challenges associated with rules and regulations, Ray continues to be a regular.
Nice. Good morning. What a crowd.
Pull that mic closer.
I'll try to make sure this works. Okay. We need to make some changes. Many of our rules have been around for a long time. Some of the rules we'll be talking about today have been here for 20 years or so. And they served a community that was a lot smaller than the community that we work and live in today. We need to reflect that in the rules, and we need to make some changes. So, what sort of things could be changing? This is really a two-part presentation. The first part is going to be dealing with traffic rules, and the second part is going to be dealing with penalties for violations that don't have a specific remedy. But the traffic rules certainly will change. We're talking about elimination of the safety corridors. And I know that some of you out there know that there are safety corridors. Some of you do not. It represents a situation for some confusion with the residents and has been a nagging problem for the committee since I've been there. We are looking at a single fee structure for traffic, which is higher than the current level. And we're looking for again, changing the fines for violations that are not specific. So why do we want to do that? This presentation is really a result of staff requests, which have come to us in the last few months. Dale and I have spent a good deal of time talking and trying to decide what the right thing to do is. We simply need to have more effective rules in place. We think that rules need to be designed to change potentially harmful behaviors. And of course, some offenses just don't have a specific fine or a penalty associated with them. And we want to make sure that we don't lose the idea that warnings can be effective and make sure that people get an opportunity to correct their behaviors. But first, we're going to talk about traffic rules. Traffic rules are generally specific. They have fines and penalties, which are included in the rules in the appendix. And typically, we don't make warnings. Not to say that one might not occur every now and then, but in general, that doesn't happen. The patrol and the staff in general considers a failure to obey stop signs the #1 safety issue in Saddlebrook. All of our streets, with very few exceptions, are 25 miles an hour. And people driving in our community need to keep that in mind. And, of course, there's some confusion about the safety corridors. So let me just look for a second at the current traffic rules. And this is in Article 12, Fines, Sanctions, and Penalties for traffic moving violations. Speeding up to 15 miles an hour over the limit, the fine's $50. Speeding 16 miles an hour or more over the limit, the fine is $100. Failure to obey a stop sign is $50. And of course, we double those fines into safety corridors. So what we think we'd like to change. In traffic moving violations, we believe that speeding up to 15 miles an hour over the limit, $100 is a reasonable fine. Speeding anything over that we think a reasonable fine is $200. And failure to observe a stop sign is a $200 offense. And if this proposal comes through, we will be eliminating the safety corridors. So there's some issues with that, which folks will be quick to point out, I'm sure. Safety corridors are high-density streets that connect major locations. We've had electronic signs put in place for the last couple of years that have made a positive impact on speeding in those corridors, giving us an opportunity to reduce the average speed and make people more cognizant of the fact that they need to control their speed in those areas. So will the patrol stop giving these areas more attention? And a good question that most people ask is, well, what about golf carts and bicycles? Those guys never stop for anything. Are the fines pretty stiff? And are you guys really trying to just raise revenue? Well, actually, some reduction in the patrol of the high-density areas can be anticipated. They really need to spread the resources that they have to make sure that the community as a whole is covered. But they're still going to be emphasized. Those are the areas that create the most difficulty for traffic conditions in the community. By the same token, patrol has promised that they're going to spend more time worrying about carts and bicycles. We got a positive indicator that the other day with a violation for the stop signs. It was very interesting. The fines that we are proposing are below the standards for public roads anywhere. Stop sign violations on public streets here in Arizona are $234. And traffic fines are a tiny fraction of the revenue every year. Just for kicks, I asked Dale to give us a report on what fines actually contributed. And in 2023, it looks like we fined a total of something like $3,600. Now, we're an $18 million corporation. That's not a significant impact. If I look at this year so far, we've issued fines in the amount of $5,600. If I recast those fines to the proposed level, the number goes up to $6,500. It's still not really a revenue generator. You know, it's there to try to help protect the community, make sure that people do the right things. Okay, I want to shift gears, and I want to talk about the current rules for violations without specific remedies. It really is difficult to try to come up with a list of how we're going to fine people or how we're going to sanction people or treat them for every possible violation. We have a really interesting group of people in our community, and they get real creative occasionally. The current fines are inadequate. Fees are minor. They're hard to administer. There aren't any time limits, so that the time limits to correct the issues are not considered. And there's really no flexibility to impose remedies which are proportionate to the offense. So let me go over the current rules. If you have a violation, doesn't carry a specific fine or a sanction, the first offense is a written warning. The second offense is a $40 fine or a suspension of membership privileges. The third offense is a $75 fine. Now recognize this is the same offense we're talking about. The fourth or more offenses gets referred to the board for action. It's not only relatively insignificant in terms of its monetary value, it's difficult to administer. Someone has to keep track of all that stuff. And the course of discipline isn't adequate, in my opinion, to change behavior. So we want to make some changes. And I know that text is far too small for you folks to read very well, so I will bore you by reading it for you. So the following fines and penalties apply to violations of all articles of the rules that do not carry specific fines, sanctions, or penalties. First offense, a notice of violation, warning. The notice may include any required remedy and reasonable time limits to resolve the issue. Failure to resolve the issue within the specified period may be considered a repeat offense. Repeat offenses. A notice of violation to include a fine within a range of $100 to $200, depending on the severity of the violation and/or suspension of membership privileges. The notice of violation will specify any required remedy and reasonable time limits to resolve the issue. Failure to resolve the issue within the specified period will subject a violator to any remedy available for such offenses in our governing documents or law. So, some of the issues that we can anticipate. The language might sound draconian. The language is permissive and allows too much discretion on the part of enforcers. What recourse does a resident have if they don't agree? Is this really necessary? Do we actually have violations like this? So, let me take those one at a time. We offer the resident 3 strikes. First, we give them a warning with a way to fix the issue without a penalty. Second, a fine if you disregard that warning. And finally, a stiffer penalty if you disregard the first 2. We're really just aiming to get the issue fixed. The rule is permissive. Enforcers need some latitude in assessing a penalty in line with the offense, which can range from something relatively minor, where you simply want to remind a resident what they're supposed to do, to something that's relatively harmful and needs to be corrected immediately. You know, if the resident doesn't agree, we have appeal mechanisms in place. The Rules and Regulations Committee and the board are both willing to hear your explanation and why you have a problem with the imposition of a penalty. And finally, violations like this are not particularly frequent, but they happen. And there's a few examples. We have the next slide, please. Contractor violations, common area violations, pedestrian rules, golf cart rules, hands-free device rules, pool usage rules, RV rules, alcohol not provided by Saddlebrook Tube, and mail tube usage. And that's just a representative group. As I suggested, we've got a pretty creative population here, and we wind up with things that we didn't really even know existed from time to time. So we're looking for a way to be able to deal with those things in the most effective way possible. I need to mention a special case, which is code of conduct violations, and remind the group that these issues are decided by the board or the general manager on complaint by residents or staff. The Rules and Regulations Committee is not involved in that process. Okay, I would like to request a motion from the board to submit the proposed rules to the association for comment.
How many days would you like to send that out for?
Yeah, hold 1 second. I want to do something here. Dale, would you come up here? Can you go back about 5 slides? Rick? One more? The recommended changes. Go to the recommended changes in the first portion of the briefing. Yeah.
There we go.
So this morning, Ray briefed us in the committee chair meeting that this issue was brought to him by staff. Meet staff. This is Dale, who takes the lead in providing a safe and secure environment here for us through the activities of he and his staff. And so if you could, just give Ray some backup on why you brought these issues to his attention and why it's in the best interest of our community to weigh them and consider them.
I think Ray handled the discussion really very well. The main issues for safety, talking about traffic-related issues, has clearly been the number one safety issue in our entire community. And with the increase in citations, I mean, sometimes there's complaints about it. You should have given me a warning. You know, I didn't know how fast I was going. There's always the appeal process, but it hasn't really slowed down. And my point of view is that, yes, a fine ought to sting a little bit. And the proof is in our safety corridors where we have the double fine zones. In the 6 years I've been on patrol here, I only know of one person who has had more than one citation at the double fine, which tells me that that works. And yes, the safety corridors can be confusing. It, I think, is generally known, but newer residents may or may not know. Certainly visitors do not, contractors, et cetera. So the idea of getting rid of the safety corridors completely, you can enter a safety corridor from a side street and not see a sign that says you're in one. Let's get rid of that, but let's raise the fines for all streets within Saddlebrook 2 to the same level so that it leaves a lasting impression to not speed in Saddlebrook 2. Stop signs in particular, we know that going from $50 up to $200 is a very big step. But I think I could make the argument that it is as much of a problem, if not more so, and as dangerous, if not more so, than speeding. We get all kinds of use of our streets, right? We have a really interesting mixture of golf carts, which are not generally approved on public streets, pedestrians, dog walkers, bicycles, large vehicles like RVs, contractor trucks. And when you add into that, frankly, the percentage of our population that really should not be driving at all, I mean, am I wrong? It makes for a really nasty recipe for potential accidents and even fatalities. So I've taken it upon myself to recommend to the Rules and Regs Committee to do whatever we can to improve the level of safety on our private roads. And this new fee structure is a result of that. So you've seen a marked increase. I think I told Walter this month to date, as of yesterday or day before, was like 28 speeding violations in 21 days. So we're really making an effort to be out there and try and slow people down. And I think it's having some positive effect, but you know, I think this revised fine structure will send an important message to the community. Does that answer your question, Matt?
Yeah, you did real good,
right.
especially for me putting you on the spot like that. Thanks, Dale. And thanks for caring about this community so much. Ray, thank you for the presentation. You've asked the board to consider a motion. Were you going to offer that, Chuck?
Yes, I just want to know how many days you want to send it out for? What's the typical number? 60 days?
21 days is fine for me.
21 days? Okay. Then I would like to make a motion to submit the proposed rules to our members for 21 days.
I have a motion to accept the recommendations of the Rules and Regs Committee and put it out for resident comment for a period of 21 days. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Mark. conversation at the board?
Yeah, I guess I would say I fully support this. I mean, unfortunately, the reality of human nature is that most people follow the rules and understand the safety issue. There's always the few people that really don't care, and unfortunately, the only way they learn to care is there's enough pain associated with not caring that overtakes their lack of caring. And so, for the vast majority of people who live here, this is never going to be an issue. So most people that live here probably never get a ticket, probably never will get a ticket. We've all seen people run stop signs. We've seen bicyclists run stop signs. I know I've seen, golf carts run stop signs. It's an unfortunate reality, so I appreciate you coming to this, because this is something that probably needed to be fixed a long time ago, so thank you.
Denise?
I just have a quick question. Do you know how close in reference to the fines this is to HOA 1? Do you have any idea?
What a really good question. HOA 1 doesn't generally use a fine structure. They leave it up to the Rules and Regulations Committee to assess a fine, which is in line with what has happened in the past. So it's very difficult to compare apples and oranges.
Ray and Dale, thank you for this, very informative. One of the things I wanted to suggest, and I just want confirmation of, in the past few years, I would say 2 or 3, we have been, as a board and as a community, more aggressive on digital signs for speeding. The board is invested in many of those at the request of the patrol. And Dale, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you would suggest, and what I've heard you say, is that that has had an impact on the speeding issues in certain areas where those signs are placed. Is that correct?
Yeah, Dan, that's correct. We have another device that we used early on that measured volume and speed of traffic. And in a couple of locations, we were getting something like 7 to 8 to 9% of the vehicles passing by this device exceeding the limit. Once we installed some of these electronic flashing speed signs in those areas, they dropped down to 2 to 3%, sometimes less. So yeah, they've been extremely successful, and I've got proposed for the 2025 budget a couple of more of them, and replacing a few of the older ones that were able to download that information easier.
And I assume that most of those focused early on the safety corridor areas.
That's correct.
Okay.
We actually had 14 different locations around the community, so it was.
So it's kind of a maturing out of the safety corridor issue years ago as a way. We've now moved into a new technology that is doing even better in that area.
That's right. We have one officer on duty all the time, and 55 plus miles of roads to cover. So this helps us bring our notification, people are speeding, to a much larger area. So.
Thank you, Dale.
Are we good on the board? Any resident comment or questions?
Wow.
Well done, sir. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Well, I was so excited, I was just letting you go. Okay, I have a motion and a second to present the recommendations of the Rules and Regulations Committee to our members for their consideration for a period of 21 days. All in favor, please acknowledge by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, Charlie. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Next on our agenda, we will invite Mike Carpy, our Director of Golf, otherwise known as our dog.
All right, good morning, everybody. Before we even start talking about 2025, Walter had mentioned it before, August 31st, we hosted our 7th annual Folds of Honor fundraiser event. Folds of Honor is a program, scholarship program for families of service members, either killed or severely wounded in action, educational scholarships that we can provide. Again, 7 years, our first year we tried to raise $1,500, we raised $4,200. And this community with this philanthropic organization has just been phenomenal. This past year, we raised $47,000. So those of you watching, everybody here that participated or supported, thank you very much for that. That puts our 7-year total at over $250,000. So pretty amazing that those scholarships are $5,000 scholarships, so we were able to provide now over 7 years, 50 scholarships. So really, really cool opportunity there. So thank you for that. All right, 2025 fees, if we want to go ahead and go to the next slide. We're making some changes. And what it's doing is these changes here in 2025 are going to align us with best practices within the golf industry. Tee time booking windows are the most important strategy in managing access to starting times and green fee revenue. We're going to start with our annual pass holders. This year, annual pass holders are going to be able to secure starting times 14 days in advance. That's a 9-day increase from our current 5-day. We know that group play is important and to our community. And so 50% of these groups will need to be annuals to secure starting times 14 days in advance. We'll talk a little bit more here in a little bit. Residents paying the full resident rate will be able to book up to 10 days in advance. That's a 5-day increase to be able to secure those times, which is going to be really nice. You can plan your schedule, figure out where you're going to go after golf to either to the links, to Mount View Bar and Grill, the Preserve, help spend that revenue here in the community. And then new this year is our Canyon card. It replaces the punch card programs that we've had for many years of the 25 and 50 rounds. And those folks are going to be able to book 8 days in advance. That is going to be the lowest rate that we have available. And I know it's a little bit later than everybody else, but again, we're trying to drive revenue at this point. Additionally, our non-resident bookings, our public play, they'll be able to book at 7 days in advance, which is an increase of 2 days there. Actually, it's an increase, I take that back, of 3 days from where we were before. So we're able to get some outside play a little bit faster and a little bit sooner than everybody else. Why did we have this tiered booking system? It's threefold. Number one, we're resetting the most important tool to drive green fee revenue. And obviously this first step it's the first step in reducing the subsidy. Decreasing the annual subsidy by increasing dollars per round. And number three, giving access to the most desirable times to the highest green fee rate obviously increases our dollars per round. If we can go to that next slide, thank you very much. The 2025 annual pass holder. This person, 2025, the full annual this year, we're looking at $4,200. If you look compared to 23, 24, 25 actually comes back down just a little bit. It also puts us closer in line with our neighbors next door. Also, the pass holder will receive the Truant Advantage program at no additional fee. We'll talk about that in a second. Discounted range balls, and like I mentioned, the 14-day advance booking. New this year to think of our seasonal residents. You know, some of them, we've talked to them in the past. The full annual wasn't the direction that they wanted to go. So we provided the opportunity for a new seasonal unlimited program. That seasonal program goes January through April, and then November and December, and that's going to be at $3,500. So that's 6 months at $3,500. And the afternoon annual, which is exactly what it says, after 12 o'clock, is at $3,300. The Truant Advantage program, again, it's available to any of our pass holders, unlimited pass holders. It's an opportunity to play Troon daily fee or resort properties. You can bring yourself and up to 3 guests for any daily fee or resort facility that Troon has. And you can book those up to 60 days in advance. Now, because it's a complimentary program to our annual pass holders, we want to make sure that that stays in the right hands. Not that anybody would pass it along, but just in case, if someone wants to play, just email me and I will give you the link to that website. So we jump into the seasonal rates. Again, new for 2025, we've talked about it at the very beginning. 10-day advance booking window for these folks. Simplified fee structure. We just have 3 seasons now: winter, summer, and fall. Pretty straightforward. But as you notice, winter and fall are actually the same price points. So it's really, we're breaking it down to 2, winter, or in season and out of season. Daily fee, $72. Our 9-hole and Twilight are at $46 for the high season, and Super Twilight at $32. Twilight is going to vary a little bit. I know we've been a static time here the last few years at 1:30 or 2 o'clock. We are going to float that just a little bit based on sunset time. So again, it's about maximizing revenue for us. And the one part that I'm really excited about on the next slide is the 2025 Canyon card. It gives you that 8-day booking window, again, 3 years earlier than before. But right off the bat, on the day of purchase, you get a free round of golf. So right there, if you're an 18-hole player, that's a $72 value right off the top. We'll give, if you're going to play 9 holes, we'll give you a voucher for a second 9-hole round to make sure we take care of you there. We'll give you 4 free range buckets, and then every time you play, it's $10 off your 18-hole round or $7 off your 9-hole round. That puts us right in line to where we were with the punch cards. But this time, we're not going to limit you to 25 or 50. We want you to continue to play all the time. So the more you spend, or the more you play, the more you save. Additionally, we're going to add you into the Troon Rewards program. So Troon Rewards is just like any other rewards program. Every dollar you spend is going to go toward free golf. So not like every rewards program, but you get what I'm saying. The free golf can be at any Troon facility that is involved in the program. So that means you can be earning free golf right here. You can earn those points and spend your free round right here. If you want to go somewhere else, okay, you can, but why not continue to do it here? And on the next page are additional fees, just to talk about this just a little bit. Range balls are going to move from $6 to $7. 50 buckets of balls will be at a $6 value, so that will be 50 buckets for $300. Annual pass holders, we're going to keep you nice and happy at a $5 rate per bucket on those. All the range cards will reset at the end of 2025. I know when we were at the town hall a little bit ago, I started talking about make sure you practice October, November, December. I think some people got scared and thought I was going to wrap it up at the end of 2024. Definitely not the case. We're going to push that all the way to 2025. That's a lot of change, and we want to make sure 15 months you get plenty of time to be able to do that. We're in the process of getting new Callaway rental clubs, consistent looking rental sets. The nice part of being a Troon managed facility is these rental sets are complimentary for the facility. We don't have to pay for them unless breakage, lost, to stolen, then we've got other issues. The only thing we had to pay for is the golf bags, and those golf bags, $110 or something like that. So great value on that. They'll be charging $50, which includes 6 logo golf balls and a valuables pouch, so that person actually gets a pretty darn good deal there. Retail on that valuables pouch is about $40. So you think about it, it looks and appears to be about a $10 rental set. Our golf rental cars are going to be $15 per seat for 9 holes, $22 for 18 holes. And that just gets us closer in line to other facilities in the area, still cheaper than everybody else. And then annual cart program is going to go to $900, and then our spectator fee, while utilizing a club car, is going to be $22. Make sure that we have our cover there. John, I heard you've got a question. Okay,
Or you, yeah, we'll do that in a minute. Are you finished, Mike?
just was going to ask what questions you had.
Okay. Before we go to a motion, do we have any questions from board members for Mike? I only have one question for Lee. Did we accomplish what we were supposed to accomplish from the golf committee perspective?
Yes, I have one question from the golf.
And I do want to say thank you to you guys from the golf committee for taking a look at what we had and making sure that we were very resident friendly. So go ahead.
The golf committee checked all of this over, and we're happy with how it went. I wanted to know on the Canyon card, does that work in our association play then?
Yes, we are not going to abandon our players in our association, so the
So
candy
that's a
card can go
great
ahead.
deal for the one-time-a-week association
Yep,
players.
absolutely.
I like that, so.
Yes, 100%.
The golf committee is happy with what's going on.
Thanks, Lee.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mike, do you know what this annual is compared to HOA 1 right now? Or
HOA 1 rate, just saw it the other day, they're proposing their annual at $3,900. So it puts us pretty darn close to in line with what we have versus, our 36 versus their 27. It is pretty close to a wash at this point, being that we've got the extra facilities that we have to take care of.
Okay, but just to be clear, we're $300 more. And really, the only advantage that we're trying to get HOA 1 to come to is we have a 14-day booking window.
14-day booking window, bring our people back home to play our facilities.
But that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, real quick,
Well,
is
getting,
there a,
getting a tee time is also a big advantage because we have 36 holes, they have 27. So that is a gigantic difference between us and HOA 1. And I think if you talk to people that golf at HOA 1 that struggle with getting tee times at a reasonable time, we're hoping that especially with this 14 days, that's going to really hopefully bring a bunch of people back or see that it's more desirable because I believe HOA 1, Mike, is what, a 5-day, what is HOA 1's reservation time period?
5 days. They're in a
Big-
5-day window. So
Big difference.
to be able to get your starting time ahead of time, know what you're going to do, and while you're having that conversation, Mr. Lenniger brought up a great point. If you're a non-annual or weren't an annual in 2024, we're going to make sure that your November and December of 2024 are taken care of if you buy a 2025 annual. So it ends up being 14 months of unlimited play for the price of 12. So that's a continuation of things that we've done for the last handful of years.
Okay, I know this is a really dumb question, but I don't play golf. But I have a question. Do people that get their annual at HOA 1 have the Troon advantage?
No, they do not.
Okay, well,
That's a good question. No.
well, that would sell me to come
No.
to HOA 2 because then I can go golfing if I have an annual pass, which I will never have, because I don't play golf. I could go on my way to Michigan. I could stop along the way and play.
Absolutely.
And take 3 guests with me.
Absolutely.
That don't have to be annual pass holders because it doesn't have anything to do with the annual pass. So I get an advantage by joining HOA 2 because I get the Troon World open to me.
You get access to probably at that point, it's 480 facilities worldwide.
Well, that's a no-brainer. Thank you.
You mentioned the residents paying full resident rate will be able to book times up to 10 days. What percent of those have to be full-time residents?
At that point,
I know you mentioned for the annuals, 50% of the group needs to
yeah,
be.
I'd be in that same window. I mean, we're only looking at a 2-day difference from the Canyon to that, but I would still do the 50%.
And I thought I heard earlier that HOA 1 is on a October 1 annual. So how many of those 100-plus HOA 2 residents have already signed up for them?
they're on November 1.
November 1.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're November
They're-
through October. That's why we want to push this, get it approved, and
That's
get it
why
out
this-
to the community as fast as possible.
That's why this is so important to be doing right now, but they're on November 1. Hey, I'd like to make we ready for a motion?
Well, I think you need to tell everybody when HOA 1's going to approve their golf rates.
All right, well, they're going to do it tomorrow. But I can't tell you what they're going to approve because they haven't approved it. So that's on their agenda. So we're both kind of in sync in that regard. And the month of October will be selling month, essentially. Yep. So I'd like to make a motion, to be able to continue questions. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the rate sheet or golf fees that are included in this presentation for 2025.
I have a motion to approve the golf fee plan and program for 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, Chuck. Any questions or comments that haven't been answered? Member questions? Come on up to the mic, sir.
Hi, my name is Nick Nicholas, Unit 32, Lot 10. Anyway, if you're trying to get members from HOA 1 down, there's got to be some incentives for them to do so, right? I heard some of them, but I don't think it's aggressive enough. Number one, they're pretty much committed to playing there because they have friends that are playing there and everything else. So it's incumbent that you give them some real incentive to come back. That's number one. Number two, the members of this club, the people that within Unit 30 or HOA 2 have been contributing to the golf courses through increased dues, et cetera. There should be some incentives for them as well. Now, I know the Canyon thing is an attempt, but there should be your annual membership. It really caters to people who are playing twice a week, to 2 to 3 times a week. And I would imagine that most of the people in it that are playing up to 3 to 4 times. You should have something in there for the people that want to play 1.5 times a week, once a week. But there isn't really anything other than a 10% discount on the going rate or $10 rate. My proposal would be to put in a 75 card, 50 card, and add a reduced rate. And I'm just thinking that's going to drive more members from within the community to join, and also maybe include some people up in HOA 1 that would also see the benefit of that, because they don't have that program at HOA 1. So I'm just saying you're opening it up to a lot of people if you have that 75 and 50 card option. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Let me make a comment associated to that. And I think it's a good question because it's a big change this year from what this gentleman just described we've always had. We've always had punch cards, and they've always had a discount when you buy them up front. Essentially what Mike is saying, through the Canyon card, you're going to be able to buy punch card prices, just like what you're describing, 75 punch card or 50 or whatever that number is, one at a time. So you're going to get that $10, which is essentially what the punch card differential was, up front, every time you play, whenever you play, if you decide to play more or less, whatever. I think that is an advantage, and we'll see how this goes, being the first year that we've tried it. Troon has a lot of experience with it. It's a proven product for them in many of their locations. And so I'm excited that we're actually trying something new. The idea of something big for our HOA 1 golfers, I have to tell you, it is mind-boggling to me that if you looked at this plan and you looked at the HOA 1 offering, the only reason financially you would ever stay there is because you valued who you played with more than money. Because if you look at money only, and I can assure you, I've sat here for 3 years and had multiple people tell us in the last two how expensive we are and how crazy we are because we didn't have a good course to play on. That's gone. We've got a great course, and financially, if you look at an HOA1 customer today, be it an HOA2 person or HOA1 person, when they come here and play 14 months of their golf, 14 months, it's significant, the difference in per round cost over that 14 versus a 12-month period. So I'm really appreciative of what Troon has tried to do here to bring people home and play the golf courses that they own. We own these golf courses. It's like owning a gas station and buying your gas across the street. We own these golf courses. So I really appreciate, Mike, what Troon has done to put together a program that I think is financially attractive. It puts you into tee time capability that is unique in this market. Everybody else is much less in terms of their tee time capability. Go to the Views, go to the Ranch, be an annual there. You don't get 14 days. Not just HOA1, it's everybody. This is a big, big deal. So thank you for doing that. Sorry to take so much time, but I really hope that we can finally now, with a brand renovated golf course, get our homeowners back to playing on the course they're paying for every year in their dues. So thank you very much, Mike, for that work.
Yes,
Dr.
Eileen.
Epka.
Hi, Eileen Depka, Unit 27, Lot 47. I have a question about the full annual pass. In the past, there's always been a reduction for the second person. Now with the new seasonal unlimited, it's actually a disadvantage to the second person unless they don't play much golf. So is there no longer any household benefit for having two members of the household get a full annual pass?
So we looked at that yesterday when I was traveling back. The current structure, if we would go with the way the discount we would, so last year was $8,600 for the two person, right, for the first and second. This year it's $84 for the two. So we are at 42 and 42. It would be $8,400 for the two. So we were actually going down in our price, overall cost to the household.
But that still leads to no advantage to two people in the same household, other than, excuse me, someone who is just getting one gets a $200 decrease from last year, but someone getting two is paying the same price as last year.
Eileen, I want you to think of it this way. We could have raised the number one, the first person in the home, a couple $100, $300, and left the second one where it was, driving the cost even higher than what we tried to do if you go back and look at the cost over the last 3 years. And so the decision was made was not to push member number one up, but make the two at the same price. So the answer to your question, the way that you eloquently stated it, is yes, there is no advantage for having a second person, but it was just a discussion about, are we going to play this game or are we just going to flatten it out?
Okay, but the $3,500 one is only available if you have a full membership as well.
No, the seasonal could be anyone.
The seasonal could be anyone.
Yep.
Okay, so listed under full annual second person, that's not really
It was just a
accurate.
place to put this new program into that, so it
Okay.
was not the box. I mean, it didn't
That
sync
could
up.
probably use clarification, and the
Okay.
box maybe should then say
And
that the
this,
second person is
and
also
it-
4,200, just to clarify
Okay,
it.
yeah, I can certainly do that.
Okay, thanks.
Great question.
Did you mention earlier what or do we know what the HOA1 annuals are going to be next year?
I believe what I read yesterday is that they were going to be $3,900.
So they're $300 less than we are.
Correct.
Do you have any projection or forecast in your budget of how many of the 100-plus HOA2 that are currently playing at HOA1 are going to come back, based on these numbers?
I don't have that. I mean, I can start making phone calls and talk to them, but I mean, at that point, that's such a hard idea at that point to throw back and to forecast that number.
Okay.
Yeah, answer this question, Mike. Let the board know how you came to the annual number that is in your budget forecast for '25.
So our annual number in our 25 budget plan was to stick with the number that we were at this year, which is 316. So obviously we have attrition that goes down. If you want to look at annually, there's always a 10, 12% attrition rate. And so we're looking at that point, we're talking 31, 32 people out. So we're looking at 31, 32 people coming back.
But they could be new people just moving here too.
Absolutely. And
People
I've
just-
started to receive those inquiries already. New residents looking for first person, new annual passes. And my response is hang tight for a little bit because you may want to just pay the next 6 weeks and then get your annual for starting November 1.
Chuck, I can tell you, after studying this for years, we ain't ever hit that number right. And we haven't had any, you think about COVID to now, we have had no stability and predictability in our golf enterprise. And so to come up with an accurate number, I hope he's way off, personally, and get us back to where we were a couple years ago. That would be great for us. But there's no way of predicting it. We lost so many people. We lost so many annuals in this construction window over the last 2 years that we could not have predicted.
I think, Chuck, the other thing that is suggested here is that they're not winning the game by elevating the anticipated annuals coming back. They're really kind of holding that as a pretty conservative view of what's gone on in the past. I think it's very conservative. I think we're going to see a lot of people look at the financial side of golf and say, wait, I got a renovated golf course and another golf course to play. I think it's a conservative view, in my opinion, which is good for us for that subsidy issue.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to accept the rate sheet and program for 2025 that Mike has presented. I've asked all the questions. Any more questions of the residents? All in favor of approving the rate sheet signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous, Charlie. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
One of our members sent me an email and said it sure would be nice to meet the candidates to be the chief operating officer through a video. Well, didn't have the opportunity to do that, but what I did do was ask Darren, who the board selected to be our chief operating officer, to take a few minutes and introduce himself to Saddlebrook HOA2 through this video.
Hi everyone, my name is Darren Shaw, and I'm pleased to announce that as of December 2nd, will be your new COO at Saddlebrook 2 Association. And I'm really looking forward to transitioning from where I am at now in San Diego to the Tucson area. Your president, Matt Cambick, asked me to put together a little intro, so that's the purpose for this video. So I had the opportunity about a month ago to come out to your community and spend the day there with board members and staff members, and met some other folks as well. And I toured your community and the amenity package, and very, very, very impressive community. And I know that leadership's really important when you have a master plan community with all those various elements. So I'm looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity as well. I know that I work for 3 teams: the board, the staff, and the community members. And it's important for me to remember that all 3 of those teams are equally important. And I try to do my best to satisfy the 3 teams in that regard. So a little bit about my experience. Right now I'm general manager at San Diego Country Estates in San Diego County. It's a master plan community with food and beverage and golf and equestrian and recreation. And I've been here for about 3 years. Prior to that, I was in Scottsdale. I was the executive director at DC Ranch, and I held that position for about 5 years. I went to DC Ranch from the Villages Golf and Country Club in San Jose, California, where I served as their general manager for about an 11-year period. And then prior to that, I was general manager at Toledano Association up in Truckee, California, and that was another master plan community with food and beverage and golf, and downhill skiing, cross-country ski, and the whole gamut of recreational amenities. For the last 25 years, I have worked as a general manager and executive director of a large-scale master plan community. So I bring quite a bit of related experience to your community. Hopefully that will result in some improvements in different areas of the business. I have been heavily involved in California Association of Community Managers for the last 20 years. I serve on the board of directors. I have also received the Vision Award from California Association of Community Managers. I was the first master community association manager in the state of California, and even today, 7 or 8 years later, there's only 5 in the entire state. So I'm a student of my industry, and I know that I have to continue learning every day to be good at what I do and to make informed decisions. I also hold the Professional Community Association Manager, the PCAM credential through Community Association Institute. So I've been involved in this business for a long time. I've taught in this business for a long time, and I like to share my knowledge, and I like to learn as well. And I'm really looking forward to transitioning from here and buying a home in your community and getting started December 2nd on a brand new adventure. Thank you.
A professional community association manager with a master community association manager designation, 1 of 5 in the state of California. Darren has an impressive resume. I'm sure you probably thought well of him there. He's impressive to be in a room and talk with. We have an hour-long meeting every week. Friday will be our 4th week in a row that we've taken an hour out of our schedules to spend some time together to talk about what's happening with him in his getting out of San Diego, and then what's going on here. And we have a conversation about you all and about the members and the enthusiasm we have for, quite frankly, bringing in somebody with that caliber of experience and qualifications. Charlie's going to send this this video out across the entire community today, so every resident will get the opportunity to meet Darren. Bill, I apologize, I couldn't get all 3 candidates, but we got Darren to agree to give us a video. That's the last item on our agenda, except I want to share with you our upcoming events. October 22nd is the Facility Master Plan Task Force presentation to the board. That will be here in the theater, 1 o'clock on that day. On October 30th, we have our next board meeting, 10 a.m. here in the Desert View Theater. And October 31st, we have our budget town hall. Mark, tell everybody what's happening on October 31st. Is that the final budget?
So the process for the budget, we had the first meeting, which some of the residents did attend, for draft number 1, where the staff comes in and does their presentations on what they are planning on. Draft number 1 was then finalized and issued. It is on the website. What's happening now is that all the committees, the Finance Committee, Golf Committees, primarily Finance Committee, along with the board, are looking at draft number 1, making evaluations on things that they want to question, things they'd like to see adjusted. We just got the input from the Finance Committee actually on Monday. And on October 3rd, the board is due to take all of that data and give it to the staff as the summary of all of the input. The staff then takes that, does whatever they think is appropriate to do. On October 17th, there is a public meeting in the calendar already scheduled. That is when the staff will present the draft number 2, which is the second draft. Again, the last step of this process is from the time draft number 2 is presented. The final decision is November 20th. November 20th is the board meeting that's on the calendar. That is the board meeting where the board votes and approves for the budget for next year. So from the 17th until the 20th, there'll be additional work being done between the staff and the board and the committee to try to finalize everything, because on the 20th is when we make the decision and we formalize, put a rubber stamp on it. So that's the process right now as it goes for the next month, couple months.
Mark, I only have one question. On October 31st, are costumes optional?
You can come just the way you are. I think your costume is great. I'm not sure what it is, but can you remove the nose?
Okay, Mark, thank you. Thank you, Dan. We all needed that levity. I don't know what I'm wearing for a costume that night either. I will now adjourn the business portion of our September 25th Board of Directors meeting, and I will open the microphones to...
Matt, I have one more comment. That's okay?
Sure.
Before you adjourn. As you know, Larry's not here today. He has given me his proxy, and one of the things he emailed me said he'd like to make a motion to have our association president have 2 alternative board members attend when the president has Zoom meetings with Darren, our new COO.
Yeah, I told you I was going to discuss that with Darren.
And I second that.
I appreciate that. I told you that I was going to discuss that with Darren. You're not giving me that opportunity? Is that what you're telling me?
Discuss what with Darren.
Okay.
I just think it's good practice to have 2 of the board members with the president of the association when you're having those meetings, so Darren gets the opportunity to meet more of the board than just you.
Yeah, I heard that the first time you sent it to me. I told you I was going to discuss that with Darren on Friday. You're not giving me that opportunity. Okay? So you're trying to force me into acting on this now.
But why would the decision be Darren's?
I made the decision. You don't like the decision I made.
Well, you make the decision as president of the association. The president of the association reports to the board, correct?
I have the responsibility of managing the general manager, or in this case, the chief operating officer, Chuck.
As president.
That's my responsibility as president of our corporation. Okay? And so what you're asking me to do, Darren asked me to do this. Okay? You're asking me to change what Darren's asked me to do. I asked you to give me the time to discuss it with Darren. So now you brought it up here. I haven't had that opportunity. So we've got a motion to put 2 people into my conversation with Darren on a weekly basis with a second. Do we have discussion by the board?
I saw that message too, Chuck, and Matt asked you to let him ask Darren. Darren called these meetings. Matt didn't, correct? So I think we owe Darren the courtesy when Matt talks to him on Friday to say, hey, this has been brought up, it's been a motion made and seconded, but I think we need to table it until Matt talks to Darren. We can do a UWC after that. But right now, I need to hear from Darren what he wants, because he called these meetings. You did not call the meetings, correct, Matt?
Okay, so the rest of the story is this. Darren wants the opportunity to help the board understand its role in interfacing with him as the chief operating officer. So it isn't the board driving this agenda to him, it's him asking me to help him set the conditions for us to be successful. So based on his experience and his training, It's going to be Darren who does the onboarding training for new board members, so they understand their role, they understand how he's going to manage the day-to-day activities of the corporation. We've not had that in the past. We've not had this level of expertise, and I don't know any more than you know about how this change is going to happen. I have no opposition to doing what Chuck is recommending. I just asked for the opportunity to have the conversation with Darren. Is it that thing he wants to do at this point in time? He's going to get to know everybody on the board. He's going to get to know our committee chairs. He's going to get to know our residents. But there's a process to be followed.
So when are you gonna talk to Darren, on Friday?
Friday. Every Friday, we have a one-hour meeting.
So if he's okay with adding 2 members of the board to your Zoom meeting, then you will do it immediately, the following Friday?
That's correct.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Well, there's one thing that I forgot. It's got nothing to do with this, but I noticed, and I completely forgot about it, I guess because I got too many things going on. So as far as the budget process, I missed one date, okay? So October 31st is also on the calendar. That is the date where we actually do present, we have a town hall where we present the budget, and I completely spaced on that. I apologize for that. So when I was describing the process between October 17th and November 20th, there is one additional meeting, which is the town hall, where basically I give kind of an overview of where we are with the budget. It's before the budget's approved, but it's kind of the last public meeting where we kind of talk about where we are. So I just wanted to make sure. I'd forgotten about that. I wanted to clarify that.
I know.
I want to cancel the motion.
Well, don't know if we could cancel the motion, but you wanted to amend the motion, Sean. Okay, you didn't say it, but what you're doing is suggesting that you amend Chuck's motion, that we wait until we have the conversation with Darren. By doing that, we have to act on your motion first.
Okay, I would like to amend the motion that was made by Larry through Chuck, and Chuck seconded, that we talk to Darren first.
Do I have a second? I have a second. So I have a motion and a second for allowing me to entertain this conversation with Darren on Friday to add more board members to our Friday meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And so I'll report back to the board after our conversation on Friday on where we'll go moving forward. Now I can open the floor up to resident questions or comments.
Janine Grippo, Unit 49, Lot 109. I just have a question going back to Terry's pie chart. Terry, you're still in the room? Yes. You said, you told us the pieces of the pie and the value of, and that's for the month of August, right? So we're looking at a 1-month snapshot of the pie chart, right? Year to date. Oh, that's year to date. Okay, so that 255 for golf, I just have a clarifying question. Is that golf operations, or is it golf operations plus maintenance?
Plus maintenance.
Thank you.
Hi, Nancy Teeter, Unit 31, Lot 54. So the question that I have is, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, but after the COO is on board, will our membership also have a general manager? Now, the reason for the question, it has to do with rules and regs. And we're looking at modifying some significant rules and regs, and general manager is mentioned as a decision maker. So that's the reason for the question.
It's a great question, Nancy. No, we will only have a chief operating officer. We will not have a general manager. Chief operating officer, executive director, chief operating officer, general manager, they're all the same bucket. They're just different titles.
So something to think about is if we are modifying rules and regs at this point, then we might want to think about the right language. And I will put that in my comments when it goes out to public, but I need to know what the
Yeah, Nancy,
situation.
that will apply to everything we have. As a matter of fact, I was reading CCNRs this week because of issues we were dealing with, and we have CCNR language and rules and regulation language that talks about executive directors, general managers, and they're used interchangeably.
Oh, okay, thank you.
We will probably go through all the documents between now and when Darren comes on board and just go through and change GM to COO, right?
I don't have that on my to-do list right now,
Well, that's what
Chuck.
some of the committee chairs have said they're going to do.
One more question, I forgot. Mark, on October 31st, is that going to be a second draft presentation or closer to what we think is going to be the final that would be then voted on by the board?
The goal would be for it to be close to the final. I can't guarantee it to be the final because there's still a number of days, but the goal, because we still have 3 weeks from October 31st to November 20th. You know, it's an active process, as you know, but yeah, the goal would be that it would be different than draft number 2, but not necessarily the final on November 20th, so.
So let me give you a little firmer answer. The expectation from this seat is that what we present on the 31st is going before the board. Something extraordinary would have to impact those deliberations to be changing that. That's what we're due, that's what we owe you all on the 31st, is the budget that's going to go before the board, because the board then gets 3 weeks to go through its final checks.
And I build my budget for my household.
And that too. Other questions? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Have a great day.